Outside the Red Box, insights into global research equipment distribution. Welcome to the Outside the Red Box podcast, your go-to podcast for insights on growing and scaling life science brands globally. Brought to you by Redbox Direct, we specialize in outsourced sales, distribution, and manufacturing for scientific instruments, with over 20 years of hands-on experience. Let's get started with today's episode.
You know that feeling when you walk past a store window or you're scrolling online and you see it? That bright red text, 50% off, 24-hour flash sale.
It's immediate, isn't it? It's almost a biological reaction.
It is. It's a genuine dopamine hit. I mean, I like to think I'm a rational person, but I have absolutely bought things I didn't need just because the deal felt like a win. It's that Groupon mentality.
Right. It's the fear of missing out, but it's also the thrill of beating the system somehow.
And in the retail world, that is a perfectly sound strategy. That urgency drives, billions of dollars in consumer spending every single year? It just works.
It absolutely does.
But that is exactly why we are here today. We're going to take that the logic of the Black Friday sale and see what happens when you try to force feed it into the world of high-stakes B2B technology sale.
And spoiler alert, it doesn't just fail. It can create a real mess.
We're breaking down a really fascinating article by Rory Gagan from Redbox Direct. And he basically argues that taking a retail tactic and applying it to a corporate buyer results in what he scientifically terms a yuck moment.
Yuck is, it's the perfect word for it. It's that sinking feeling a sales director gets when they realize they've just set their profit margin on fire for literally no reason.
So let's unpack this. We need to get into the mechanism here. Why does the brain scream yes to a discount on a TV, but just no to a discount on a piece of, say, laboratory equipment?
To get there, we have to look at the two buckets where discounts actually do work. Gagan identifies these really clearly. And the first one is B2C luxury. So we're talking discretionary spending.
Okay, so this is the fun money, the cash that's left over after the mortgage and the groceries and all the boring stuff.
Exactly. This is the new iPhone, the designer handbag, or maybe a really high-end fly fishing reel. The driving emotion here is not need. It is 100% desire.
And desire is impatient.
Incredibly impatient. You want the luxury item now, but your bank account is telling you to wait 6 months. And that creates a tension, right?
Right.
The discount acts as a way to resolve that tension. It kind of short-circuits the wait.
It's like a permission structure.
That's a great way to put it. When you see 20% off, your brain flips a switch. It tells you, oh, it is financially responsible to buy this now. It gives you the justification.
Which is, let's be honest, usually a lie we're telling ourselves.
Oh, often, yes. We bridge that gap with credit cards or debt. But the point is, the discount validates the emotional decision to buy. It works because the money is yours and the desire is personal.
Okay, so that's the emotional side. But the source mentions a second bucket where discounts work, and it's a lot less glamorous. Consumables.
Right. Toilet paper, salsa, AA batteries.
The glamorous life of bulk purchasing.
And here, the psychology totally flips. It's not about desire. It's about security. It's that nesting instinct. If you run out of coffee, your whole morning is ruined. So buying in bulk when it's on sale feels like safety.
And does that translate to the business world? Because businesses buy consumables too.
It does, but we have to be specific about the kind of money being spent. This is OPEX, operating expense. So think of a plant manager at a manufacturing facility. Their nightmare isn't running out of coffee.
Oh.
It's running out of glue or screws or something that stops the entire production line.
Right. If the line stops, the money stops, and then the boss comes down screaming.
Exactly. So fear is the motivator here. If a supplier says, buy 100 cases of solvent, get 20 free, the manager loves it. They get to hoard a little inventory, which is a safety buffer, and they can tell the finance team they saved the company money on the unit price. It's a win-win.
So we've established the baseline. Discounts work when we are emotional about a toy or when we're paranoid about running out of daily supplies.
Correct.
But this is where we hit the wall, because most of the people listening to this deep dive, they aren't selling salsa, and they aren't selling Jimmy Choo shoes. They are selling high-value capital equipment, tech platforms, research tools.
And this is the realm of CapEx, capital expenditure. And the rules of physics are just completely different here.
Let's break down why. The source gives a few reasons, but the first one seems so obvious. Yet sales teams seem to miss it all the time. It is not their money.
This is the fundamental disconnect. If you are selling a $100,000 electron microscope to a university or a new server architecture to a bank, the person you are talking to is not reaching into their own wallet.
They aren't checking their personal savings account to see if they can swing it.
No, not at all. They are operating inside a rigid budgetary framework. They're applying for a grant or they are submitting a request to a capital committee.
So if I'm a salesperson and I say, act now and save 10%, that doesn't trigger a dopamine hit.
It literally can't. Think about the mechanics of a grant application. You submit a budget for a whole project. We need $150,000 for equipment X. That process takes months. If the salesperson suddenly drops the price to $135, it doesn't really help the researcher.
Right. They can't just keep the difference.
No. They can't use the leftover cash to buy a ping pong table for the break room.
That would be nice, though.
It would be, but in a lot of bureaucratic systems, if you don't spend the money you were allocated, you lose it for the next fiscal cycle. So a discount doesn't validate the need. You cannot walk into a strict finance committee meeting and say, I know we didn't plan for this machine, but guys, look, it's on sale.
They would laugh you out of the room.
They're looking at utility, at ROI. Strategic capability. Does this machine allow us to do research we couldn't do before? That's the only question that matters. A limited time offer doesn't change the strategic value of the asset one bit.
That makes so much sense. It just neutralizes the whole urgency tactic completely. But there's another factor the source brings up, the volume problem.
Yes, the BOGO fallacy.
Buy one, get one free works great for socks.
Does not work for particle accelerator?
Buy one cyclotron, get a second one for the kids.
It sounds ridiculous when you say it, but sales strategies mimic this retail logic all the time. They try to sweeten the deal with volume. If you buy the system now, we'll give you 50% more capacity, or we'll throw in a second unit for free.
But in a capital environment, more isn't always better.
More is often a liability. If a lab needs one machine to run their experiments, a second machine is just a giant paperweight that takes up expensive floor space and needs its own maintenance. You are solving a problem they do not have.
So, okay, we know that straight discounts fail because of the budget structure, and volume deals fail because of the utility limits. But I want to talk about the third tactic, as I see this one everywhere, the free add-on.
The sweetener.
Right. Sign the contract by the end of the quarter, and we will throw in the automated page sorter or the premium software package for free. Now, on the surface, this feels smarter. You aren't lowering the price tag, you're just adding value. Why does Geoghegan call this a trap?
Because you are basically betting against yourself. Think about the game theory of it. There are only two possible scenarios, and in both of them, you either lose money or you lose time.
Okay, walk me through scenario A.
Scenario A. The customer actually needs that add-on. They need the automated page sorter to do their job effectively.
Okay, so they get it for free. That's good for them.
But it's terrible for you. If they needed it, they would have paid for it. It should have been another line item on the invoice. You just took a high-margin upsell and gave it away for $0. You just voluntarily burned your own revenue.
You left money on the table for no reason.
Exactly. Now, scenario B, they don't need it. It's just a nice to have.
So it's a free bonus. Why does that hurt the sale?
Because of the purse strings.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, the person who wants the machine usually has to convince a manager or a committee to release the funds. If the budget isn't approved, or if the fiscal year hasn't rolled over, telling the committee, but wait, we get a free gadget that we don't really need, provides zero leverage.
It doesn't move the needle at all.
It's just irrelevant noise. A finance director cares about cash flow and budget variance. They don't care about free accessories. So, the sweetener fails to accelerate the deal because B2B buying cycles run on fiscal calendars, not sales promotions.
So you're either giving away profit you should have earned, or you're offering something that has no power to speed things up.
You're just spinning your wheels. And this is where it gets really dangerous. We've talked about the immediate failure, the deal not closing. But Geoghegan argues there's a law of unintended consequences that kicks in here.
This is the part about the savvy buyer.
Right. We tend to think of the buyer as this passive person just waiting for a deal, but corporate buyers are professionals. Their job is to extract value.
So let's play out the nightmare negotiation. This is a scenario I think every salesperson has lived through at some point.
Okay, let's do it. You're the salesperson. It's the end of Q1. You're desperate. You offer buyer Mike a massive bundle deal, the machine plus the software plus the service contract, all for the base price if he signs by Friday.
But Mike is stuck in bureaucracy. He literally can't sign by Friday. The capital committee hasn't even met yet.
So the Friday deadline passes, the offer expires. Crickets.
And now we cut to 2 months later. Mike finally gets his budget approved. He calls me up, all excited.
And you, the salesperson, say, "Great news, Mike. Here is the invoice for the full price, $25,000, because, that special offer ended back in March."
And Mike says, "Whoa, hold on a second."
Mike isn't going to accept that. He says, "I can't pay $25,000. My boss knows you offered this whole package for $20,000 2 months ago."
And there it is. That's the trap.
You have anchored the price. By offering that discount before, you signal to the buyer, and more importantly, the buyer's entire organization, that $20,000 is the real value of the product. Anything above that is just markup.
I showed my hand. I proved that I have the margin to go that low.
Exactly. You prove the margin exists. So now the buyer has all the leverage. They know you can do it, so they will refuse to sign until you do it.
So even though the limited time expired, the psychological anchor just stays there.
And this leads to the two painful consequences the source highlights. The first one is obvious: profit killing. You end up giving them the deal anyway because you need the sale, and you look at your spreadsheet and realize you just lost 15% of your net profit. Yuck.
And the second consequence.
Product devaluation. And this is the long-term cancer for a business. If your sales team is constantly throwing out discounts and freebies to trick and close deals, you are training your entire customer base to view your product as a commodity.
You stop being a premium solution provider and you start acting like a used car lot.
Precisely. You teach the market that your price list is essentially fiction. And once a customer knows everything is negotiable, they will never, ever pay full price again. You are just racing to the bottom.
And that has to destroy the morale of the sales force, too. They stop selling value and just start selling price. They lose their confidence.
It becomes a crutch. Instead of doing the hard work of building a real business case, they just slash the price and hope for the best.
So let's pivot to the solution. If we take away the coupons, the flash sales, and the free add-ons, what is left? How do you actually close a deal in this environment?
Gagan puts it very simply. Back to basics. It is, in his words, simple but not easy.
Which implies hard work.
It does. It starts with the product itself. Does it actually solve a high-value problem? If the machine saves the lab 200 hours of labor a year, that is a quantifiable value. You don't need a discount to sell that. You need a calculator.
You need to speak their language.
You need to understand their utility. In B2C, you sell to the person. In B2B, you are usually arming your champion, the person inside the company who wants your product, with the ammunition they need to sell it to their own internal committee.
That's a really important distinction. You aren't trying to trick the grant committee. You're trying to help them see the logical business case.
Yes. You provide data. You provide case studies. You show the ROI. If you spend $100,000 now, you will save $50,000 a year for the next 5 years. That is an argument a finance director respects, but it's 20% off, is not.
It seems like the core lesson here is all about context. You have to know what game you're actually playing.
Context is everything. If you're selling sneakers, by all means use the dopamine hits, trigger that impulse. But if you're selling infrastructure, just put the tricks away. Respect the intelligence of the buyer and the complexity of their process.
It's about aligning your sales process with their buying process.
And accepting that you cannot hack a capital procurement cycle. It takes as long as it takes. Your job is to make the value so clear that when the money is available, you are the obvious and only choice.
I think that's a perfect place to wrap this up. It's a bit of a reality check, isn't it?
It is. I think we all love a good deal, but we have to recognize when a deal is actually just a distraction from real value.
I want to leave our listeners with a thought to mull over. We've spent this whole time talking about the seller's mistake, that yuck moment of giving away margin. But I want to flip the mirror around to you, the listener.
When you are the one sitting on the other side of the table.
Exactly. Think about your own professional buying habits. When you are looking for a new software platform or a consultant, are you the savvy operator who knows exactly what the real margin is? Or are you the one getting squeezed?
Are you buying the premium bundle just because it was offered for free, even though you know you'll never use half of it?
And if you are, good luck explaining that line item to your CFO next quarter.
Yeah, try avoiding that conversation if you can.
Don't let the yuck moment happen to you. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive, and we'll catch you next time.